Good morning, dear student. Today we are going to start our second chapter of second unit, subject English of grade 6. Unit name Nature's Bounty and chapter name The Cherry Tree. This chapter is written by writer Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is an Indian author of British descent who have been contributing to children's literature in India for many years. It means basically he belonged to British, but he used to write for Indian literature, especially for kids, means children. Now dear student, let's start this one story. This story is basically about a young boy and his grandfather who discovered the joy of watching a cherry tree grow. I think, dear all children, you all have trees at your home. Okay, if you don't have, might be you have some kind of small plants at your home. Have you ever observed how they grow? Have you ever watched their growing way? Okay, so let's come to know in this one story how a boy, Rakesh, who was 6 years old, just observe and enjoy growing tree. One day when Rakesh was 6, he walked home from the Missouri Bazaar eating cherry. Means there was a day when 6-year-old Rakesh was coming back to home and he was crossing Missouri Bazaar. He just purchased some cherries and started eating it. Those cherries are sweet, sour, as well as some are small inside, some are brighter in color, especially red colored cherries, which had all the way from the Kashmir Valley. Means these cherries are basically comes from Kashmir Valley, means Jammu Kashmir. Here in the Himalayas foothill where Rakesh lived, there were not many fruit trees. Means where the Rakesh used to live with his grandfather, that was hilly area, and probably in hilly area less number of fruit trees are found. The soil are stony and dry. Cold winds turned the growth of most plants. And what was the reason behind that? Just because of the quality of the soil. Because in hilly area mostly stony soil are found, and it's very hard to go through in this one stony soil. And because of dry winds also, because dry winds never allow tree to grow. That was the reason of less number of fruit trees found. You can say that weather conditions are not suitable for such kind of fruit trees. But on the more shelter slope, there were forests of oak and deodar. But still, so many trees we can saw and we can notice in this one area. Those are oak and deodar. And why they are able to grow there? Just because they do have quality to face cold weather as well as to grow in stony soil. Rakesh lived with his grandfather on the outskirts of Missouri, just where the forest began. Means here writer is telling us that Rakesh used to live with his grandfather on the outer part of the Missouri, where basically forest began. Grandfather was a retired forest ranger. He had a little cottage outside the town. Means here author is telling us that the grandfather was retired from the job of a forest ranger and having a very small cottage which was outside the town. Rakesh was on his way home from school when he bought the cherries. Means he was coming back from school when he just bought some cherries to eat and to enjoy. He paid 50 paise for the bunch. Here, as you can notice, like only 50 paise he just paid for the bunch of cherries, because this story is related to the earlier time when 50 paise do have worth, but now in today's time we can't purchase anything with 50 paise. It took him about half an hour to walk home, and by the time he reached the cottage, there were only 3 cherries left. Means the time period he take to reach home is about half an hour, and when he reached, only 3 cherries were left to him. Have a cherry, grandfather, he said as soon as he saw his grandfather in the garden. When Rakesh reached at home, he offered cherry to grandfather. Grandfather was in the garden and doing some kind of work there, and only 3 cherry were left with Rakesh. Grandfather took 1 cherry and Rakesh probably ate the other 2. And after having offered by Rakesh, grandfather took 1 cherry and other remaining 2 are eaten by Rakesh. He kept the last seed in his mouth for some time, rolling it round and round on his tongue until all the tang had gone. Means like you all maybe might be done such kind of thing. I usually do that, but I used to eat berries. I used to keep roll down the seed of the berry. Similarly, what Rakesh did, he just kept roll down round and round along with the tongue, the last seed of the berry, till all the tasty smell and the tasty taste had gone. Then he placed the seed on the palm of his hand and studied it. And after then what he did, he just kept that seed on the palm and he started studying and staring it. Are cherry seeds lucky? Asked Rakesh. Then Rakesh asked to his grandfather whether these cherry seeds are lucky, and grandfather answered, yes, of course it can be if you kept it. Nothing is lucky if you put it away. Means here grandfather just suggested advice, if you throw it away it won't be lucky, but if you kept it and if you use in good manner, definitely it will be lucky. What can I do with seed? Plant it. Then after that Rakesh asked, what can I do with the help of this one seed? Then grandfather said, you can plant it. You can plant it in soil. So Rakesh found a small spade and began to dig up a flower bed. And after that what Rakesh did? He started finding a place with the first small spade. Spade is a kind of instrument which are used by gardener in their garden, to loosen up the soil. So he started digging up so that he might put that seed inside the soil. Hey, not there, said grandfather. I have shown mustard in that bag. Plant it in that shady corner where it won't be disturbed. And after that grandfather just came nearer and told her not to sow that seed there, and because their mustard seeds were already sown by the grandfather, so he just suggested that you should sow this one in some shady kind of corner having shade, so that it won't be get disturbed by anything. Rakesh went to the corner of the garden where the earth was soft and yielding. So Rakesh just listened the suggestion and he just follow up suggestion. He just went and find out a shady area where the earth was little bit soft and very much yielding. So that's why he just saw that one seed there. He did not have to dig. He pressed the seed into the soil with his thumb and it went right in, because the earth was very much soft and that one area, so that's why there was no need to dig. Instead of digging, he just with the help of the thumb, he just pressed the seed inside and it went very easily inside the soil. Then he had his lunch and ran off to play cricket with his friends and forgot all about the cherry seed. And after that he just forgot this one and he just ran up and had lunch and just went away to play cricket with his friend and totally forgot about the seed. When it was winter in the hills, means when the season changed, now it's winter season, cold wind started blowing in that one area, and the sound that comes from the cold wind, woo woo, woo woo is a kind of sound which we can hear coming from the wind. In the deodar trees, and the garden was dry and bare. Now, just like the winter, when the winter came, definitely the garden turned from greener to drier. In the evening, grandfather and Rakesh sat over a charcoal fire and grandfather told Rakesh stories about people who turned into animal ghosts, who lived in tree and beings that jumped and stone that wept. And after that, what happened at one winter night, grandfather and Rakesh, they were just sat together and they were enjoying the charcoal fire like to get a warmth, okay, garmahat paane ke liye. And what happened at that time, grandfather just told some kind of stories to the Rakesh, so they might enjoy that time. And what kind of stories are told by grandfather? Those stories are about ghosts, those who used to live on trees, and people, those who turned into animals, such kind of stories. And one stones who started weeping, such kind of stories are told by grandfather to Rakesh, and Rakesh enjoyed all those. And in return, Rakesh also did something for grandfather. And what that was? To read newspaper for grandfather, because grandfather eyesight was getting little bit weaker. Rakesh found the newspaper very dull. He didn't get any interest in the newspaper, but still he have to read it for the grandfather, especially after the story. But grandfather wanted all news, because newspaper was not as interesting as the stories were, but he have to read it, okay. So that's why he had read for grandfather, because grandfather want to get knowledge regarding all the news. They knew it was spring when the wild duck flew north again to Siberia. Early in the morning, when he got up to the chopped wood and light a fire, Rakesh saw the V-shaped formation streaming northward and heard the call of bird clearly through the thin mountain air. Then after that, now the spring season came, and during the spring season the wild duck normally they used to migrate to the north area, especially to Siberia. Means like whenever the season get changed, some of the places birds used to migrate from one place to another place, maybe for their hatching purpose, hatching eggs purpose, or something else purpose, because of the suitable weather condition. So now it's spring season. Early in the morning when they get up, they just chop some wood and they just lit the fire. And Rakesh just noticed like V kind of formation were coming out that one area where he just where the seed was sown by him. One morning in the garden, he bent to pick up what he thought was a small twig, and find to his surprise that it was well rooted. He stared at it for a moment, then ran to fetch grandfather, calling, "Dada, come and look, the cherry tree has come up." And after that, one morning, what happened in the garden, when Rakesh just came nearer to the place where he seed sown by him, he just noticed down small twigs. Twigs means whenever from the seed leaves comes out, at first they are known as twigs, means छोटी छोटी गोल गोल शेप में बाहर आती है. And he got totally surprised that it is well rooted, and he got surprised and he stared at it for some moment. And after that he just ran and asked grandfather to come and to saw and notice this one. He just told his grandfather that this cherry tree has come out. "What cherry tree?" asked grandfather, who had forgotten about it. But grandfather had forgotten about all these things that happened earlier, and he asked, "Which one charity? About which cherry tree you are telling me?" "The seed we planted last year, look, it come up." And after that, Rakesh just told that last year we planted the seed. "Okay, you told me to see so that was." And comes up, Rakesh went out on his haunches, while grandfather bent almost double and peered down at the tiny tree. It was about 4 inches high. Means after that, what happened? Both of them just reached that one place, and Rakesh just went down on his haunches. Means this is the sitting posture in which the Rakesh sit, and grandfather he just bent on the knees. Okay. went to the knees on ground and they started noticing this tiny tree, and it was about 4 inches height, means the height of that plant was about 4 inches. Yes, it's a cherry tree, said grandfather. You should water it now and then. And after that, grandfather noticed this exactly it was cherry tree, because grandfather used to work a lot in the garden, so he had lots of knowledge regarding the tree, and he can notice of which fruit tree it belongs to. And he told, like, yes, it's a cherry tree and you should water it time to time. Rakesh ran indoor and came back with a bucket of water. Don't drown it, said grandfather. And after that, Rakesh got excited. He just went inside and he just drank a bucket full of water. But then again, grandfather suggested, no, you need not to drown it. You should sprinkle water on it. Rakesh gave it a sprinkle and circle it with pebble. What are the pebble for? Asked grandfather. And after that, when Rakesh sprinkled water on the plant, and he just make a circle outside the plant, and the grandfather asked, why are you using these pebbles to circle out? And Rakesh said, for the privacy. This shows love of Rakesh towards that plant, because that was grown by him. He looked at the tree every morning, but it didn't seem to be growing very fast. He started just noticing each and every morning this one tree, hoping for that next day it will grow up more. So he stopped looking at it except quickly out of the corner of his eye. But when he didn't notice any kind of increase in the height, he just stopped looking on the daily basis. Instead of going nearer, he just started staring it from the out of the corner, means from a side, means little bit far. And after a week or two, when he allowed herself to look at it properly, he found that it had grown at least an inch, means after 1 or 2 weeks, when he came nearer and he just observed properly and noticed properly, he came to know that now this time it's grown maybe of 1 inch, but yes, this time there is increase in the height of this one tree. That year the monsoon rain came early and Rakesh plodded to and from school in raincoat and gumboots. Gumboot are such kind of boot which are normally used by hilly area and those area in which there are lot of rain occur, okay, to protect the feet from rainwater and the muddy area. So this time the monsoon rain comes so much earlier, so that's why Rakesh used to going school and coming school wearing raincoat and gumboot. Friends sprang from the trunk of trees. Strange looking lilies came up in the long grasses, and even when it wasn't raining, the trees dripping and mist came curling up the valley. The cherry tree grew quickly in this season. Means like because of the rainy season, automatically some kind of different plants started coming up, means different kinds of a beautiful lily started growing up from the long grasses. And when the rain used to stop up, the trees started dripping up, means the water having on the leaves of the tree, it drip up. And the cherry tree grew very quickly in this one season, because this one season and this one weather was the suitable weather condition for the cherry plant. It was about 2 feet high when a god entered the garden and ate all the leaves. Now the height of the cherry was turned into 2 feet. 2 feet. So what happens, one goat just entered in this garden and ate all the leaf of the cherry as well as other plant. Only the main stem and the 2 thin branches remained. Never mind, said grandfather. And what left after that? Only the single stem and 2 very thin branches remained there. But grandfather just said to console Rakesh, don't worry. Seeing that Rakesh was upset, because he got upset after just noticing what happened to the cherry tree. It will grow again. Cherry trees are tough. Towards the end of the rainy season, new leaves appeared on the tree. Then a woman cutting grass cut to the cherry in two. But he just console, means grandfather console Rakesh, don't worry, it will grow again. Do not worry about it, because cherry trees are very much tough, and automatically it will grow once again. Like maybe you all have noticed, some of the time when we cut the tree, it might started growing, like some kind of green leaves started coming out of it once again. Okay, similarly here also they suppose for this one thing. Then a woman cutting grass the cherry in two. When grandfather saw what had happened, he went after the woman and scolded her. When after that, what happened? Then a woman just who was working in the garden of the grandfather, he just used the machine and cut it into two. Now this time cherry tree was totally destroyed. But grandfather, when noticed and came to know about it, he just ran and he scolded that woman, what you have done, you have damaged it. Now this time it won't be able to repair, maybe it will die. Now Rakesh also observed and noticed it, and this time he was very much sad, and he said that this time it won't be able to stand up again and might be die. Maybe, said grandfather, but the cherry tree had no intention of dying. And grandfather was also like thinking of that this time might be cherry tree won't be able to stand up once again. But cherry tree having no intention to die up. By the time summer came round again, it had sent out several new shoots with tender green leaves. Rakesh had grown taller too. He was 8 now, a sturdy boy with black hair and deep black eyes. Blackberry, grandfather called him. Means, but this time what happened? By the time summer, when the summer season came, again some new shoots, mean new plants of part of the plant just come out of it with a tender green leaves, mean dark and lots of green leaves. And Rakesh also now grown up. Now he also turned into grown up kid, and now he was 8-year-old, a sturdy boy having black color hair and deep black color eye. And grandfather usually called him with love Blackberry. To Rakesh. That monsoon, Rakesh went home to his village to help his father and mother with the planting and plugging and sowing. He was thinner but stronger. When he came back to grandfather's house at the end of the rain to find the cherry tree had grown another foot, it was now up to his chest. Now, that monsoon, Rakesh just went with the went to the village to help his grandfather and mother. They used to live in another village, and he just went there to help them for the plugging and sowing and planting trees, etc. And he was very thin, but he looks thin, but he was strong. And when he came back to grandfather's house at the end of the rain season, the tree was now just grown up another foot. One means 1 more foot height of the tree was grown up, and this time the tree reached to the chest of the Rakesh, means the height was grown up. अब उसकी height बढ़ गई थी. Even when there was rain, Rakesh would sometime water the tree. He wanted it to know that he was there. Means when still if there was rain, means agar barish aati, still he used to water the tree. Just he want to show affection to the tree that he is right present there. One day he find a bright green praying mantis perched on a branch peering at him with blink eyes. Rakesh let it remain there. It was cherry tree's first visitor. Means after that what happened, one day he just noticed a green color kind of a fruit was there on a branch. Okay, and he just looked with very surprising eyes on him, but Rakesh didn't touch it and didn't tear it, and it remains there, and it was the cherry tree's first visitor. Means you can say this was the first fruit of this cherry tree. The next visitor was a hairy caterpillar who started making a meal of the leaves. Means the next visitor was just a caterpillar. Caterpillar, you can say is the caterpillar is you can say butterfly, means a butterfly. Caterpillar is the earliest form of the butterfly, and there was a caterpillar on the leaves, and who used to eat leaves of cherry. Rakesh removed it quickly and dropped it down on the dry leaf, which were there were heap of dry leaves under the tree, and he just dropped it down because it was damaging leaves of this one tree. Come back when you are a butterfly, he said. And what he said? He said that when you just turned into a beautiful butterfly, you can come back here. Winter came early. The cherry tree bent low with the weight of snow. Now again the winter season came, and this cherry tree was totally bent up just because of the snow, because it was totally covered with the snow, and because of the weight of the snow, it's bent up. Field mice sought shelter in the roof of the cottage. Now the field means the area where grains are grown, and mice means the rats, etc., means mouse, or usually those which are found in the field area, means where the grains are grown. They just find shelter in the roof of the cottage. The road from the valley was blocked, and for several days there was no newspaper, and this made grandfather quite grumpy. Means just because of the heavy fall of snow, all the roads and all the valley roads were totally blocked up, and because of that grandfather didn't get any newspaper, and he was quite angry and grumpy because he used to reading newspaper. His stories began to have unhappy ending now, because his mood was turned into anger. That's why the story he used to told to Rakesh were turned into unhappy ending. In Feb, it was Rakesh's birthday. Now it's February month, and there was Rakesh's birthday in this one month. Now he turned into 9, and tree was 4-year-old, but almost as tall as Rakesh. But this time the tree was equally tall as Rakesh. One morning when the sun came out, grandfather came into the garden. One morning when there was sunshiny day, grandfather just came into the garden. Let some warmth get into my bone, he said. He just want to get warmth inside the bone, like sunshine and sunlight is good for our bones because it gives vitamin D to our bone. He stopped in front of cherry tree, stared at it for a few moments, and then called out, Rakesh, come and look, come quickly before it falls. Rakesh and grandfather gazed at tree as though it had performed a miracle. Means suddenly what happened? He just stared at tree for a few moments, and he started calling Rakesh and asked, Rakesh, please come out and just come and just look, otherwise it will fall. And Rakesh and grandfather they started staring with surprising eyes at tree, like it just having performed some kind of miracle, like उसने कोई tree ने जादू कर दिया है. They were too much surprised. There was a pink blossom at the end of a branch. What happened actually? Actually, there was yellowish and pinkish color of blossom flower means was there. Actually, it was the flower which will turn after that into cherry fruit. The following year there were more blossom, means after the next one year there was little bit more blossom, means lots of blossom were there, and suddenly the tree was taller than Rakesh. And what happened now? Tree became much more taller as comparison to Rakesh, even though it was less than half his age. Even though it was less than, means Rakesh was like you can say 9-year-old, and tree was 4-year-old, which was less than half of the Rakesh, but very much taller than Rakesh. And then it was taller than grandfather, who was older than some of the oak trees. And after that what happened? Tree just started growing and growing more, and what happened? It became much more taller than grandfather also, and grandfather who was older than some oak tree as well. But Rakesh had grown too. He could run and jump and climb tree as well as most boys, and he read a lot of books, although he still liked listening to grandfather's tale. and Rakesh also growing with time, and he started running, jumping and climbing the tree as the other boy used to enjoy their life. He loved to read books. He loved to listen grandfather tale even today's time also. In the cherry tree, bees come to feed on the nectar in the blossom, and tiny birds pecked at the blossom and broke them off. But the tree kept blossoming right through the spring, and there were always more blossom than birds. Now the other beautiful creature in the world, in the atmosphere, get fascinated and attracted by the cherry tree, and bees normally come to the blossom so that they might collect nectar for their honey preparation, and the small little tiny bird also used to come there, and they used to pick it up with their beak on the blossom and broke it off. But still, now the tree was totally grown up, so able to keep blossom, means lots of blossoms comes there. The summer there were small cherries on the tree. Rakesh tasted one and spat it out. It's too sour, he said. Means after that summer season came, and small cherries can be seen on the tree. And Rakesh just picked one and it tasted it and said it's too much sour and we can't eat. There will be better next time, said grandfather. And what after that grandfather said? He said that next year when the new cherries will come, definitely they will be in much better taste. But the bird like them, especially the bigger birds such as the bulbul, scarlet, miniwits, and they flitted in and out of the foliage feasting on the cherries. But the birds around that cherry tree, they loved it. All those bigger birds like the bulbul and the scarlet and the miniwit. Miniwit is a kind of bird having long tail and small in size of the body part, and they love to eat it. They started flying around it. They used to flying inside. They used to sit on cherry branches. They used to started eating and having taste of it. On a warm sunny afternoon, when even the bees looked sleepy, Rakesh was looking for grandfather without finding him in any of his favorite place around the house. One day when there was very warm sunny afternoon, means during the afternoon, Rakesh was when all the bees and the other creature used to take rest, Rakesh was started looking and searching for the grandfather without checking the favorite places of the grandfather. Means grandfather do have some favorite places in his house, and he didn't search for him in that one place. He just started searching here and there around the house. Then he looked out the bedroom window and saw grandfather reclining on a cane chair under the cherry tree. And after that, when he entered in the house, he checked out through the window in the bedroom and noticed that grandfather was just taking rest on a chair which was under the cherry tree. There is just the right amount of shady there, said grandfather, and I like looking at the leaves. When the Rakesh came there and asked, why are you sitting here? Then grandfather answered that there is a proper amount of shade, so that's why I want to enjoy it, and I'm just looking all the leaves of the cherry. They are very pretty, said Rakesh, and they are always ready to dance if there is a breeze. Means after that, what Rakesh said? Rakesh said that they are looking so beautiful. Means all leaves are looking very beautiful, and when the breeze comes out, when the wind blow, automatically they move and it look like they are dancing. After grandfather had come indoor, Rakesh went into the garden and lay down on the grass beneath the tree. And when after that, what happened? Grandfather just went inside the house, and Rakesh just went into the garden, and he just lay on the grass, cool grass under the tree, near the tree. He gazed up through the leaves at the great blue sky, and turning on his side, he could see the mountains riding away into the clouds. And what he noticed? He observed the nature beauty. He started staring at blue sky through the leaves. Means पत्तियों में जो पत्तियाँ थी, टहनियाँ थी, उनके थ्रू he started just looking at the blue sky. And when he took turn lying on the grass, he can observe and he can notice the mountains were there, and they were totally like covered up with the clouds, means lots of clouds were there inside the mountain. He was still lying beneath the tree when the evening shadow crept across the garden. Crept means crawling, means he was still lying, means he just lied there for a long time period till the evening came. And when the grass was just covered up with the shadow, means automatically at the evening the time period the sunshine disappear, and there is we can observe the shadow. Grandfather came back and sat down beside Rakesh, and they waited in silence until it was dark. And again the grandfather just came outside and sat just next to the Rakesh, and they both of them were silent because they were enjoying the nature beauty until it turned to dark, means until the night started. There are so many trees in the forest, said Rakesh. After that, what Rakesh said? He said there are lots of kinds of trees occur in the forest. What's so special about this tree? Why do we like it so much? It means cherry tree. Now he was just surprised that why there are so many trees in the forest, but I like this cherry tree most. What is the reason behind that? He was totally confused. We planted it ourselves, said grandfather. That's why it's special. And after that, what grandfather said? He said that this one tree is planted by you. We both of us planted it together. That's why it's special for us. We took care of it. Just one small seed, said Rakesh, and he touched the smooth bark of the tree that had grown. He ran in his hand along the trunk of the tree and put his finger to the tip of a leaf. I wonder, he whispered, is this what it feels to be God? Means after that, what happened? He just enjoyed it, and he started staring it, and he think of how a single small seed can give birth to a beautiful tree. And he started with the smooth and loving touch with the loving hand to the tree trunk, and he just put the finger on the tip of the leaf, and he wondered and whispered means he just spoke in very very low voice, is this what it feels to be God? Means is this the feeling of the God? Means here he was totally surprised with the nature beauty, and he was totally attached with the cherry tree, because this tree was grown up and sown. This seed of this one cherry tree was sown by the Rakesh and the grandfather. So this was the reason why he loved this tree so much. So dear student, this was the overall story of this one chapter. When you take care of anything, any creature in the nature, whether it's tree or your you can say puppy or anything, okay, you loved it so much, you take care of it, you feed it, okay, and automatically some kind of attachment comes in between that. Okay dear students, so this was the story. Thank you.